And as different from human beings, when people call on you too often, we're not happy with it. But in the case of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves when His creatures call on Him often. So, this is the second level. And according to Ibn al-Qayyim, one should ask for each and everything that one desires using the appropriate name for that request. So, for example, we should say in our prayers, ask directed to Allah, saying, "Forgive me, O Allah, have mercy on me, because you are the oft forgiving, the most merciful, Al-Ghafur, Ar-Rahim." So we use those names while calling and requesting Allah's forgiveness and His mercy. And this we can also find in statements of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, for example, where he said that when we finish our prayers, our daily prayers, we should seek forgiveness of Allah, saying Astaghfirullah. Then we should supplicate, saying Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. O Allah, you are peace, and peace comes from you. May you be blessed, owner of glory and grace. Now, Ibn al-Qayyim further mentioned that for every one of Allah's attributes, there is a particular act of worship which results from it and which is necessitated by it. And this is what we will be researching as we go through the various names of Allah. I should mention here also that Allah instructs the believers in our first verse that we spoke of, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ-Ul-Husna فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. He instructs them to worship Him through His most beautiful names. But in practical terms, what we're talking about here is that the believer dedicates his life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his knowledge or her knowledge of the names of Allah, the significance of those names relative to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the effect that those names should have on us as believers. We link these two things together because of the fact that Allah said, worship Him using His names. And at the same time, He also told us, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say, indeed my prayers, my sacrifices, my living and my dying are for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. So that basically identifies the goal of the believer as turning his or her life in its entirety into the worship of Allah. So this life that we're talking about is a life which should be led in the glory of Allah's names and the light of that glory. Now, if we go on to the status